Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's January 28th and I'm out here finishing up with my fruit trees, and I wanted to talk about the job of pruning them. So what I'm doing here, and this is a pear tree, and pear trees are they're nasty, gnarly. It's hard to put them in a certain shape, but you have to prune them anyway. Now this one I've already started. I've taken a lot of the limbs out that are pointing inwards, and I've been taking off a lot of limbs that are not where I want them. I don't want a lot of low limbs. Now these here are kind of low, but I'm going to leave them. But when I prune, what you want to do is you want to look at these leaf nodes, the little buds on here, and you want to prune just above a bud that's going to make the limb go the direction you want. Now this got some little egg sacs there. We're going to get rid of them, but we're going to send this limb where it goes out that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off right there. Now all the energy is going to be forced at this bud, and this is the way this limb's going to grow. And that's the way I've done with a lot of these. I've cut them to where the buds are facing outwards. Now we've got kind of a shape going out, but we really don't have the shape going out like we want. So what I'm going to do is continue. I don't want it real tall like this. So what I've been doing is, to keep it low, I've been selectively pruning so these limbs go out the direction I want. Now also, I cut these at a slight angle so water doesn't pull on top of them. That way it doesn't encourage rot, and that should make them good. But you don't want too many limbs in that direction. Now like on this limb here, it does have a lot of limbs that's shooting out. Now I'm going to leave a majority of these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along here and I'm going to cut these little bud limbs off of here that's going back towards the inside. I'll leave any that's heading kind of outside, and I can use those to shape it up, but all the little ones that's going inside I'm going to get rid of. And like I say, any more limbs that are going to touch, if I can't provide a path for like this limb to come straight out through here, which I can, looks like right here. If I can't do that, what I'm going to do is I will remove that limb, because it's no way to get it out. A lot of these, we don't want too many limbs in that direction. Now some people like to let their trees get super big, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine. That's your prerogative. I like to keep mine low. It's hard enough sometimes to pick fruit. Now I can get in the tractor bucket and I can get up tall and get some of these, but I'd much rather get them from the ground or use a short ladder whenever I'm harvesting my fruit. But anyway, I'm going to trim a little bit more on this one, and then we'll talk about trimming some more. And this is one that I had shown in the previous video about how neglected it is. Now I want to talk about when you're pruning, you have different things you can use. You can use pruning shears or loppers, a lot of people call them. You can use your little shears or cutters, or use a pruning saw, depending on the size of the limb. Now a pruning saw works good for most. You want to prune up kind of close to it, but as you can see where this limb comes out, you see this little gusset right here where it comes out. You don't want to cut this off. It makes it harder for it to heal. If you cut just past this when you prune, what it'll do is it allows it to heal over, and then eventually it won't even look like a limb was there if it heals properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off just past that. We'll let it heal up by itself. Now when you're pruning these, like I say, you want to make sure, this one I hadn't even come in here to do, and pears are really gnarly ones, but you see how these limbs are rubbing off up in here? You have this one rubbing and stuff. When the wind blows, this is going to cause damage to it. Same way with these that shouldn't be on here. Anything that's down here close to the base is going to rob for the production of growing your tree, and pretty soon it gets to be a nasty mess. So any of this stuff is going to have to be cut off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean some of this stuff off. All right, this pear here, I've pruned it a little bit different than the other. I've left it to get taller, but I've taken out, as you can see, a lot of the limbs that were inside. I've tried to direct it to where these won't interfere with each other. Now, don't think that just because you pruned it in the wintertime that you may not need to prune it any other time. If you have a problem with your limbs growing in to where they're going to make contact with another one, whatever time of the year it is, it's just go ahead and clip that limb off. Pruning does encourage growth, so sometimes you'll sprout little leaves here and there, but it's just as easy, just wipe those off as it gets started if you're out here checking your fruit trees, you know, for any type of damage. Now this is my last one I'm pruning, the last of mine that needs pruning, and it is a mess. I talked about this one and some of the issues that it started out with. So we're going to do some pretty heavy pruning. So let me get after it and then we'll see what it looks like. And this is what it looks like after it's been pruned down. Of course, we have a lot of clippings there, but and we have a place, we'll probably dress this up. We've got some tree band-aid, maybe you want to call it, but some goop to put on there, and we'll see if this will grow into a nice tree now. Okay, I'm almost finished with the pruning stuff. I have to come in and, like I say, need some graft sealer. So this tree wound, this is the old style. There's some newer varieties they say works better. This has been around for a lot of years. It kind of keeps it covered, keeps moisture out, keeps the bugs out. So on the bigger areas where I'm cutting, I'll put some of this on. That way, better chance of not getting all infected with rot or bugs. And also, I brought some cuttings in. I have some peach cuttings. This one, like I say, that grew 8 foot in 1 year. And I have some of my Honeycrisp cuttings. Now, not knowing how these will do once I propagate them, and I know you've seen a lot of my propagation videos. If you haven't, you can go back and look at them. But you want last year's wood. You don't want real old wood. And I've cut most of it off, but there's an easy way to tell. With this right here, this was cut off the pear tree, and it was clipped off right here. This was old, 2-year-old wood. This is where last year's wood started growing, and you can normally see this. You'll see that area of transition. And these other ones off the apple trees, of course, there's 2 different colors, but they're both last year's wood. And I'm thinking that a little bit bigger cuttings, these are about 1/2 inch or just a hair bigger, most of them, will do a little bit better for my propagation. Now, not like I need to propagate anymore. I've propagated a whole bunch. But what I'm getting at here is when you do your pruning, if you're going to propagate new trees, this is the time to do it. Now, if you have suckers coming up from the roots, now whenever I cleared around the other ones the other day and I had potted up some of the roots, well, here's a few more. They're not the prettiest, but they are roots from the root stock, not from the variety. So if these roots grow, and I can cut them apart and see if I can't get these to grow. I do have some that's propagating, and I should have success with some of them. But what I'm getting at is these are easy enough to break a loose or cut off of the root stock, and then this would make you a good root base that would be more resistant to disease and such. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you really found some value in it. You can tell that there's a lot of different ways to prune depending on what you want to do. A lot of mine has to do with the equipment that I run around, because my mower, you know, I have to have the limbs high enough that I can get up kind of close to it. If you put a compost ring around it, you'll be less likely to damage some, like in my earlier videos where you bump it with the mower, because you won't have the grass up there because you've put that little barrier on there. Plus, it's good for the plant. But anyway, if you find some value, you want to see more of mine, some follows up on these, just hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell button so you'll be notified. And give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.